help make decisions and be confident in your decision making power. Part 3. And this is where I'm going to give you some tips from astrology and the energy practice of Jinshin Jutsu. First, I'll start with the Jinshin Jutsu because it's an energy practice and you can start doing some little exercises immediately. And while on that, it doesn't have to be Jinshin Jutsu. If you have another energy practice, it will work. If you have a friend who does Reiki, go get a Reiki session. If you have been doing Qigong, just do your Qigong exercises, or scroll through YouTube and find some. There are people who do a lot of Qigong exercises. Don't jump onto the complicated ones. There are plenty of videos with people who would just give you a gentle easing into that practice. If you also have Tai Chi practice, although Tai Chi tends to be a little bit more physical, and many teachers I have seen will give you only the physical aspect, they reserve the energetic parts for advanced stages. So if you haven't advanced to the stages where they will share with you the energetic practices, the Tai Chi becomes simply like a martial arts, very, very physical, but even physical exercise is pretty good. So the goal is to get your subtle energy circulating. A lot of times we end up with some blocks, lifestyle, fears. We can bring something from karmic or genetic reasons, whatever you call it. So the thing is, if you had to do one thing from Jinshin Jutsu, I'll give you the simplest one. The part that puts me into my center and helps me ground myself is called the main central vertical harmonizing energy. And it's out there. You can search for it. I'll put some links to my website, the Traveler's Guide to Healing, where I have all the steps. But here's what it happens. It centers you into your own core. So everything becomes more integrated, more coherent. There's that inner strength that you are meant to have, and we just kind of slowly give it away here and there, in a death by 1,000 cuts. If you have heard that experience, like here you got upset, there you get a little bit angry, you check the news, you're fearful, and they tell you how you're a hapless victim, and so little by little they kind of take away our powers and our confidence in our powers of making decision. And so having the main central vertical self-help, especially if you do it 3, 4, 5, 7 days in a row. 7 is probably ideal, but even 3 days in a row is really great to get yourself going into that flow. And so here's what you do. You put the right hand on top, and the left here is between the eyebrows, here in the forehead, and hold. I did it last night while I was watching TV, and I was lying on the couch, and it was very easy because sometimes it could be quite tiring to keep your arm up. It's up to you. For me, it's tiring. Maybe it's just I'm getting old. If it's not, you can hold it. I like to hold it for 10-15 minutes. In fact, after 15 minutes, I felt lightness here in my breathing, everything, especially now with the spring in my area, and dust. I have some mild dust allergies, so I felt like lightness. And I was like, ooh, I didn't even want to move. You don't even have to move. A lot of times when I like it, when that effect happens, I don't even want to move. So I keep my hands, and it's sufficient. Now, there are people who would like to get a little bit more complex, and if that is your preference and that's your flavor, there are 6 or 7 more steps that you can do that include like the nose, and then here at the throat, then at the upper chest, lower chest, and the pubic bone. I'll put a link if you want to get those steps, and you can just hold them for as long as it feels. So this is a very easy self-help way to get your subtle energy circulating and clear up some blocks. Because if you're making good decisions, you want to be centered. You don't want to be fearful and angry and upset and anxious. You want to be in your own self, having that sense of there has to be a way. I'm gonna find it, right? That's the whole point. Now, the other tip I wanted to share comes from astrology. So there are The moon is the astrological symbol that correlates to our emotional cycles in our psyche. It's not like the moon really affects you, but it's more that there's a correlation. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I don't have any evidence, so I don't know how it operates. But there's enough evidence, at least for myself, because I have been tracking the moon and my emotional cycle for over 2-3 years already. So what I have noticed that there's a very strong correlation between where the moon is in the sky and how I feel. For instance, on the days when the moon is in the Pisces, and I'm using Western astrology, so this is the tropical zodiac. So Pisces is the 12th sector in the sky after we started with number 1 at the spring equinox. When the moon is in Pisces every month, I tend to be spacey. So that's exactly the opposite of what you want to be. You know, you want to be centered when you're making decisions. But I tend to be intuitive. So this is a good place to actually start writing in the morning. Write your journals, collect your ideas. Don't do anything yet. Don't make the decisions, but start collecting those through associative process or inspiration or creativity. Julia Cameron has a book that is called The Way of the Artist, and it's been there for decades, and there's an exercise there that is called the morning pages. You wake up at 5 a.m. and you do stream of consciousness writing, whatever comes, no judgment, no matter garbage, not garbage, coherent or not. If you're familiar with the spiritual community, you will call this guided writing or inspired writing, whatever you call it. The process is there. And so when the moon is in Pisces, we all collectively tuned into the higher realms. Call it artistic inspiration or spiritual guidance, whatever it is, especially in the early mornings when you're just kind of half awake and half asleep. On the other hand, for me personally, when the moon goes on the opposite side of the sky from Pisces, Virgo, it tends to be also particularly inspirational moment. But that's for me. Unless you have Virgo in the 12th house of your chart, Virgo might be something else. Because Virgo likes tidy, Virgo likes to analyze. And so, but for me, it's in my 12th house. And the 12th house is my personal Pisces. So everybody has individual houses, and the houses depend on the time, the hour of birth, not just simply your birthday, but if you know exact hour when you were born, 6 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 p.m., whatever hour sets up your first house, or your starting point is the eastern horizon, and then you split the sky into 12 equal parts. I like simplicity, so all my houses are equal in size, and so I split the sky and I have 12 equal segments. The last one is the 12th house, and so it resonates with Pisces because they're both 12, the last one in that 12-fold division. So through numeric resonance, there's a very strong energetic flow between Pisces and 12th house. And for me, I have got myself sometimes scrubbing the toilet and getting these amazing solutions. I'm going to do this at work. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say yes to this, that I was asked to participate if I wanted to participate. So making decisions, it's amazing. But sometimes it's simply like, oh, I'm going to create this video. Oh, I'm going to write this in my next upcoming newsletter. This is how I should organize my book. I have already 2 self-published books, but this is what I do. And so it always happens on that 12th house. So you might want, if you're looking for inspiration, you might check the moon and see if it's in the Pisces area of the sky, or if it's in the 12th house, if you know which part of the sky is your 12th house. There's another part. If you know where Neptune was when you were born, you want to keep track of when the moon goes over that spot, because when the moon transits over Neptune, we tend to be more open for inspiration. So again, it's very good time to get your ideas, or maybe If you're looking for a job, I would say, okay, I'm going to look for this. Oh, wait, I'm going to rearrange that. Or maybe I'll reach out to that person. There are a lot of ideas coming at that time. The downside, don't act on it, okay? Because when you open to the higher realms, call it artistic inspiration, insights, I have solved math problems, when I'm open to the higher realms. I was solving math problems long before I knew there was even spiritual realm, because I was born and raised in a former communist country where all religion was quashed and suppressed, and we're not allowed to say anything of that, let alone teach or read about it. So it took me decades before I recognized that this is actually the spiritual realm. I used to call it like I do it and I get spiritual inspiration. Not even spiritual, I just get my solutions. But anyway, check where Neptune is in your chart and pay attention when the moon goes over that spot. You are more open to ideas. This is where the higher realm, your higher self, or your creativity or your subconscious can actually send ideas to your consciousness. But do not act, because you're so open to the higher realms, you're not paying attention to the physical realm. And that is where the decisions start coming back, not what you thought it was. You thought, wow, that's a great idea. This is now, the solution of all my life problems. And maybe it is, but maybe it will be 20 years from today. And now you go and act on it today, and things just start going really bad. So if you want a 1-2 timing, the best time is to look at the moon when it's in Pisces or goes over your Neptune transits, or 12th house if you wish, if you know where the 12th house. So this is your first step. Get the inspiration, write it down. Now, let's say you have already got the inspiration and you have applied Professor Wilkins's criteria. The correct solution will always feel like as the right solution. The longer you think about it, the more you're convinced that you couldn't have made any other decision, or you couldn't have had any other solution to your problem. So once you kind of bounce around, give yourself 3 days. That usually gives enough time for the moon to move to another energy and another place. Moon moves the fastest of all bodies, so 2 to 3 days the moon is going to be in another energy completely. So 3 days is enough. And then here's your second phase. Find the following places when the moon is goes over your ascendant. The ascendant is the point that was rising on the eastern horizon when you were born. So when the moon crosses that point every month, I feel ready to go. Hit the ground, get everything so comfortable in my skin. I'm here to do a job and I'm gonna get it done. In a sense, it makes sense. The ascendant there were energies there that really triggered you. It's like, okay, you're here to do some work, get going with that birthing process, and you were born. So it's your astrological twin in a sense. So interestingly enough, I have been tracing this for over 2, 3, probably maybe even 4 years already. After the 2 years, I stopped counting. There's something about it. It's my moment where I stop procrastinating and everything on my to-do list is done. This is when I procrastinate when moon is in Pisces, but I tell myself procrastination is not forever. Just wait. Moon goes into my ascendant and I'll get everything done. Everything finishes in no time. In fact, I sit and say, why did I wait? It was not even that much of a deal. That is the energy that you're gonna feel. You have to find the ascendant, and that depends on the exact hour when you were born. So if you know that, find that spot, and that is a good time to act on your decisions. After you have already figured out what they are, you set on them for 3 days, apply Professor Wilkins's rule that they feel right. It feels like the only thing. I don't justify anymore. I don't explain. I don't defend. I feel it in my bones. So act on it when the moon transits your ascendant. If you don't know your ascendant, if you don't know your exact hour, the other time that is good, and it's not so sensitive of when exactly you were born, as long as you know your birthday, is find where Saturn is in your chart and wait for the moon to actually transit that time. There's a little caveat here, because a lot of times when we are not aware and we haven't worked with that spot, it tends to show up as insecurities. Do I want to do it? So most likely you're going to be like, maybe not, maybe I'm imagining, so there's a lot of insecurity, but you have to pass that point, because Saturn is going to be the one that this is the time when your psyche is most critical. So you can actually look at your solution and critically evaluate it. So wait for that moment, the moon to cross that Saturn point. And then after that, the next time the moon crosses and transits Mars. Mars is your gas pedal. It's like, okay, go do it. Enough of this, that. Mars is like, just do it. And if it's wrong, we're gonna fix it. And if it's not what I wanted, we're gonna change course, right? Mars is your do it, because enough of this wishy-washing. So there's a process that will take, and the moon will hit all those 3 points, all the points actually, within one lunar month, which is 28 to 29 days, depending on how you count that cycle. So within 1 month, you can actually do that experiment and see what comes out. Don't forget to share.